Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Telecast-tv. I'm Miracle Angala. You're watching a conversation with Majeed Dahiru speaking about River State politics. What President Tinubu expected from Governor Siminalayi Fubara when he had issues with his godfather, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. He expected Fubara to act by decamping with his followers from the PDP to APC and to make some certain decisions that will make him feel that he is in charge, because President Tinubu is looking for a man that will show him capacity for him to believe that he has someone in River State that can capture votes for him come 2027 presidential election. And Fubara has been quiet, speaking only on interview and insulting Wike, just that, but has not taken action step. Had it been he knew, he would have submitted to Wike instead of to start causing issue. And the issue here is the people of River State is either they cut off, look for a fresh party and get a fresh candidate in order for them to see progress in the state, if they must stop this political godfatherism in River State. Endeavor to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Watch this video to the end. Don't miss trending videos.
Mandatory electronic transmission of results against the clear wishes of voting Nigerians. What do you have to say to this?
Well, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody.
Really?
No, of course. I wasn't expecting this current National Assembly that is dominated by the APC, that is also led by distinguished Senator Akpabio, to effect any progressive change to the Electoral Act. I wasn't expecting it at all. Because, you see, the ruling party is not unaware of the fact that they have underperformed. They are not unaware at all. And they know that they'll be going into the next election with a heavy burden of incumbency disadvantage arising from poor performance in government. And because what also want to hold on to power by all means possible, they will not risk any form of reform at all that can indeed enable the people to hire and fire freely and willingly in the next round of election. Because indeed, it will adversely affect the electoral fortune. So I was never under any illusion at all that there is going to be any major reform that will move forward our electoral processes going to the 2027 election. Besides, the president, Ahmed Bola, who is also the leader of the ruling party, has never shown any interest in electoral reform matters. Unlike President Musa Yar'Adua, who acknowledged that the election that brought him in was flawed and required some improvements, and so set in motion processes that would eventually clean up the entire electoral management system in this country, which eventually culminated into the Uwe's panel and then subsequent reports that were partially implemented by the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Now, the president, for instance, didn't say anything wrong at all with the election that brought him in. Absolutely not. And has not in any way, I've not heard him talk about electoral reform anyway. So there's no commitment to that. And he's the leader of the ruling party. So do you expect members of the ruling party in the National Assembly, now in the clear majority, to carry out any reform that will reflect the people's wishes? I was not expecting that at all. So I'm not disappointed. What I've told the people of Nigeria to do is simple. You may have to adopt a certain level of resilience to be able to annul the effect of any imperfections in the electoral system. That is the key that is available to the Nigerian people. That's the only tool as an instrument. It has to be a resolve of the people to say, look, despite the imperfections, we are going to vote, come out in large numbers to vote, and monitor our vote and make sure it counts, and make the necessary sacrifices for that to happen. Because one thing I know is that people power can dissolve, can trump, can neutralize any attempt at electoral subterfuge by incumbent government. But the ball is in the court of the people. Are they willing and are they ready and are they galvanized enough for that to happen? Time will tell.
So, in essence, this decision of the Senate is an advanced manipulation of the 2027 elections. Can you read it like that?
Let's put it this way. It's a sustenance of the status quo that has been characterized by imperfections in our electoral management system, which is not a true reflection of the people's will.
So, in 2023, we saw this debacle of glitch that happened during transmission, and then the server was shut down and all of that. So, are we foreseeing a repeat of this in 2020?
Or something much worse, because the push for a mandatory transmission of results was such that it's no longer at the discretion of INEC. And so INEC can no longer give the excuse that there was a technical glitch that shut down the server in the process of declaring elections electronically or transmitting them electronically in real time. Now, it's going to be mandatory. Meaning, for instance, if there's a glitch, you have to repeat that election. I do not think the ruling class in Nigeria is ready for true democratic change in this country, because they are enjoying the status quo. They are in power. They know that they have not really served the people's interest. They are aware. They are not oblivious of this fact. And so they will not do anything that will be akin to committing class suicide by enabling you and I, the people, to hire and fire freely. That power is not something they're ready to give to us. But we can actually take it as a people. If only we are resolute, we are resolved as a people to say, we have identified those whom we want to elect into positions of leadership across the board, and we are willing to make the sacrifice required, which is the resilience, the steadfastness, the commitment to stay focused and stay the course. If we're able to do that, and people power is harnessed properly, it will dissolve any or neutralize any attempt at electoral subterfuge.
If Beaver's results are no longer, mandatory towards, free, fair, and credible elections, why did we invest so much money, national resources into its acquisition? Why?
In procurement processes, for those who want to, who wanted to carry out the bazaar of contracting and procurement of some of these things, for me that was the major motivation. Nothing more than that. Look, I keep saying this. In a community of human beings, there's a difference between a human being and an animal. You don't need too much of technology to conduct a free and fair election. As a human being, if you are standing for election, you should not accept a single drop of vote into your ballot box if you did not earn it. As a human being, ordinarily, if you stand for an election and 5 people voted for you genuinely, and somebody decides to add 1 vote to make it 6, as a human being, you are supposed to reject it. Meaning you don't even accept such things in your own favor, let alone perpetrating it. I've always argued that the problem with Nigeria is not electoral reforms or electoral laws. It is the fact that integrity of the system is lacking at whatever level. And rather than working on the integrity of the system, the integrity of the participants, the integrity of the processes, we resorted to the long arm of the law. Even if these guys had decided to include mandatory transmission of results in real time, electronic transmission of results, be rest assured that somebody somewhere would have also studied the same law to undermine it at a level that will marvel you, that will take you by surprise on election day. We've seen this happen over and over again. We've seen how card readers were undermined because of the loophole of incident forms. We saw it. The same thing with the beavers and other processes. So for me, let's stop spending money on all of these processes. All of these procurements of technology is no longer necessary. As long as it is not legally tenable, let us concentrate more on developing the integrity of the system, beginning not necessarily with even INEC, with the electoral process itself. You see, the weakest link in our democracy value chain has been the political party system. Ordinarily, in a democracy, power is given and not taken. This is important. It's important to begin to redefine some of these terms we bandy around. In a democracy, you don't take power given to you. But the political parties are operating on the maxim that power is taken and not given, meaning they hijack it, they steal it, they run away with it. So we have to go back to that level. Can we now have political parties that I believe should understand that power is freely given by the people as a trust? That is a responsibility that comes from privilege, but not for responsibility to uphold that social contract between the people and the government on the delivery of welfare and security for the people. Until we have this fundamental reset and reconfiguration of the political party system, we are participants to that play by the rules and observe absolute fidelity to constitutionalism. The players will keep corrupting the system, as the same players are the ones that are appointing authorities of the electoral body and even in the judiciary. This corrupt cycle of electoral processes that has characterized our democracy since 1999 will remain a revolving door without an end. So we need to expand this conversation beyond INEC. Who are the people influencing INEC? Who are the people appointing people to INEC? Who are the people dictating to INEC? Ordinarily, as a senator or as a rep member, and as an elected governor or president, you swore to hold that constitution. When you did that, when you took that oath of office, it mandates you at all times to do everything within your power, within your areas of responsibility, to improve, continuously improve the lot of the people, our democratic processes, our laws, our welfare and our security, which includes, for instance, the clamor for transmission of results electronically as a means of avoiding, of preventing rigging at the coalition level. Any lawmaker, ordinarily, that is indeed distinguished or honorable, should be heard of the people in bringing up such laws, even if it will cost them the election. But unfortunately, the process that threw them up in the first place makes it impossible for them to do this. Because our electoral process has degenerated over time into criminal enterprise of power grab for self-service. So your lawmakers are no longer there to serve you as the people. They are there to serve themselves. So they cannot give any law. They'll make elections free and fair enough for you to fire them there.
Majeed, you've raised a number of interesting points. Number one, if I hear you correctly, electoral reform is actually not, that's the legal aspect of it. It's actually attitudinal. We have to, reform the mindset, the behaviors of our politicians, as it were. And this leads me to this rider to the earlier question. Our politicians, they are perhaps, Nigerian politicians, they are perhaps the class of the most despised, Nigerians. I may be wrong, but that's the perception I get. Nigerians despise Nigerian politicians above any other category of, people. So why would Nigerian politicians not see this, not read the room, adequately, and act in their enlightened self-interest or self-preservation? Because what they are doing, is tantamount to committing class suicide. What do you say to this?
The people are to blame for this.
Which people?
With the Nigerian people.
With the Nigerian people.
We are enablers of the same thing you are complaining about.
How?
Identity politics. It is easy for a Nigerian to stay on TV, on radio, or write on page of newspapers and criticize Akpabio and criticize Tinubu. But when the time for election comes, we withdraw into our cocoons of ethnicity and re-elect these ethnic champions that have come from the various sections of Nigeria back to Abuja. So for instance, we discovered that Akpabio might be not popular as a Nigerian Senate president, but he's very popular as senator from Ikode axis of Akwa State. Why? Because he's brought home a lot of things. He's been able to use his position to attract a lot of things back home. It is the same thing with the 109 other senators, the 216 House of Rep members, few ministers and co. You see, it is called prebendalism. It's a special case for Nigeria. International scholars of political science studied Nigeria particularly and decided that Nigeria's problem of corruption is prebendalism, which is a legitimate form of corruption that is steeped in culture, that derives its roots from identity politics, with largely both along ethnic and religious lines. And no political party has been able to galvanize Nigerians around the pan-Nigerian agenda for collective development. However, in the absence of that, the various political parties have mastered the game of keeping us perpetually divided so that they can continuously rule us. So what has happened is this. As the election is getting closer, the narrative will soon change from issues-based politics to sectional things, to other things like whose turn is it? Who should produce the president? Who should produce the vice president? Which religion should produce this? Which country should produce that? Before you know what is happening, again we are falling into this trap of folly. And we'll give them the legitimacy to come out to Abuja and continue to do what they are doing. You see, the reward system for identity politics is not development. It can't be, it's not good governance. It's patronage. So prebendalism is defined by international scholars as a sense of entitlement over the resources, domiciled in their areas of responsibility by appointed or elected political officials. So that a minister in Nigeria thinks that his ministry is a reward for him for participating in politics. So he skews the budget towards the section of the country with him as a major beneficiary. So what happens is that leaves Nigeria underdeveloped perpetually. Because you can't develop any country along national line. It has to be integrated development. It has to be a collective development agenda because we are existing in a global world where Nigeria is just one entity among many. So ordinarily we should be competing among ourselves. The Igbo, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the North, the South, the Muslim, the Christian. We should be, as a nation, competing against other nations for global resources. But that trajectory is not there at all. So what we do is that politics makes us perpetually divided and struggling over internal resources. It's only after election, after we voted for ethnicity, voted for religion, they will now come back and lament for the next 4 years. So it is important for the people themselves to know their complicity in this matter. Because like rightly pointed out, they are despised, but how come they actually win elections? Sometimes they don't have to win elections. No, he's trying. He brought 5 employment slots to our people. People don't know that in that process, 1,000 more people opportunities have been wasted. So that's skewed sectional tendency. People don't know that, look, you don't need a senator to get you a job. It's not his responsibility. That is influence spreading, that is corruption. You are entitled to a job in line with your competence, with what you merit, and with your inclinations, with your calling. The state should provide for you. Nobody needs to intercede for you.
With your skills, with your education, and all of that.
Like water.
It's a right.
It flows and finds its level. Because a pyramid of a system, because essentially what is it? If we connect to the global community, for instance, as we are supposed to have done but we've not, and for instance we are competing, say, with Ghana for the dominance of beans trade, beans as a food crop in the continent of Africa, for instance, and there is a position towards that, it means we are going to orient your economy and bring on board all the talented people you require to fill up that value chain that will keep you ahead, competitively ahead of Ghana in terms of means to the continent of Africa. So in that process, anybody that is qualified to hop into that without bias or without prejudice to ethnicity or religion, but with consideration only for your relevance to this value chain, it will automatically earn everybody wants to contribute to hop on that train. It's the same thing with all other export competitive areas. Before you know it, everybody will find their level just like water. But we're not even on that trajectory yet. So the problem is, again, we need that the task ahead of us is such that we cannot solve that problem in silos alone. It's a holistic, overhaul we need in our mental state and how we intend to sit down and manage this country.
I was going to come much later on to identity politics, but you already dealt, so let's just finish this before we now move to another issue. You're one of the leading voices, proponents, strong, in the strong condemnation of identity politics, irredentism and all of that in Nigeria. But it will seem like the voices, speaking for and retention of that, what are overwhelming, against those of us who say no progress, no development can happen if we continue on this trajectory. Now, recently, northern politicians, leading elites from the north, are clamoring openly for the retention of this Muslim presidential tickets. I was aghast last week when I saw on TV a certain Honorable Farouk Ali saying that, he must, if they cannot drop the Muslim, and then the interviewer asked him pointedly that, okay, he says the North does not mind the Muslim. In fact, the North would not participate if there's no Northern. Would the North also not mind a Christian? And the guy said, no, it cannot happen. And I was asking myself, when and how did Nigeria arrive at this juncture? Majeed, I'm saying, have we made progress in the last, 26 years of this Fourth Republic? If at this juncture in our evolution as a nation, this is what we're talking about. Answer this briefly, then I'll throw the last one before we now shift to...
I'm laughing.
Yes.
You see, we often complain about racism. But there's something that most of us in Africa, Nigeria particularly, do not understand. And it is the fact that tribalism is worse than racism. Racism is hate for other people. People you see physically as different from you. So a white man sees a black man, an Asian man sees an Arab. So there are physical differences. So it will require some effort at real diversity management and reconciliation to move as one people. But it is even worse when, as a black man, you despise your fellow black man based on artificial lines.
Not necessarily on any tangible...
there's no difference between... You and I sitting down together, if a white man was watching this program today, he would probably think we are siblings, children of the same parents, having a family conversation. Yeah. So if people that are seen as one people, or they call us Africans, they don't bother whether you are... Exactly. They are African, they think you should know you are one people.
Of course.
Now, we are this divided. It's a subhuman trait. And I want scholars, I want intellectuals to focus on this issue. It is a subhuman trait for me to look at you as my brother, and rather than consider the content of your character, your competence, and our shared interest, I'd rather be looking at your imaginary ethnic group. Even when I'm aware, for instance, that if you were to need a blood transfusion now, the requirement for blood group will not be your ethnicity.
It will never be among the criteria.
It's never. And you discover that probably the one that will fit into your own blood group might come from an ethnic group that you despise so much. But the person that actually has the same blood group with you comes from there and can save your life. Why have I made this background? This is 65 years after independence. More than 100 years after amalgamation. And 26 years into democracy.
Fourth Republic.
And we are still having this kind of trivial conversation at this time. It started with Hannatu Musawa and then Farouk Aliyu. What these two people displayed is a form of tribalism that is worse than racism. Can you imagine a white man today in UK or in America insisting that the Prime Minister of UK must be a white man so that the majority of the UK people that are white should vote for the Conservative Party? Can you imagine what the reaction would be? Global reaction. Even Donald Trump, in all of his elements, cannot be caught red-handed though, saying that whites only should run on this political party platform because of the demographic superiority of the white voting population in America. He can't even say that. And you see, again, this is even bigotry taken excessively far. You know why I'm saying this? As we stand today, the issue of the Muslim ticket of President Tinubu, at least, has largely been properly managed. Managed in the sense that the initial fear that greeted that option of Muslim ticket, which was actually based on the same sentiments we were expressing, which is not right for any country anyway. But it's what President Tinubu has achieved in his nearly 2.5 years in power now. Only thing that he has achieved that I can give him credit for, without reservations at all, is his improved diversity management skills, what we experienced under the Buhari 8 years administration. To such an extent that, despite having a Muslim presidency, Tinubu has not dominated his government or Nigeria with Muslims or Muslim agenda. You can give this to him. Meaning, in any case, if you have the right leadership, we can function as one people, irrespective of some of these tendencies. So his government has not reflected too much of Muslim dominance. There has been a fair balance, a fair mix of both religious groups, which has doused tension and has dissipated the fear that initially created the prospect of a Muslim presidency. Give that to President Tinubu. I had expected that any member of the APC, and I'm not on South, that wants to defend the right to Shetima to continue as vice president would have told this line of argument. So, well, while it would have been much more desirable to have a better balance, but what this man has shown to us is that despite having a Muslim running mate and a Muslim vice president, collectively they have not dominated this government by Muslims. They don't dominate this government with Muslim agenda. They have been very fair to all, which means that, okay, with the right leadership, even a Christian presidency may not necessarily translate into a Christian-dominated Nigeria. This should have been the argument. I mean, okay, this for me should have been progress. But some people are simply, so parochially they are thinking that they couldn't even see this option of argument to support the continuous stay of Shetima as vice president. And the person, they have done a disservice to Shetima himself. They've done a disservice to the president of the republic and the leader of their party. Because if you open this argument and insist that the only reason they should reject Shetima is because of ethnic or religious sentiments in the north, it will open another chapter and annul the progress made by President Tinubu in managing the diversity of this country, despite having a vice president that is Muslim. It will open another chapter and people will completely ignore this other side and now begin to challenge this existential challenge to their own identity. But I'm happy that the ruling party has issued a statement to say, oh, everybody should shut up around this matter. But what that betrayed was the level of thinking at the level of a minister of the Federal Republic. She specifically mentioned the ethnic groups that should be targeted in the north, and excluded even mine and others.
Like the north was a monolithic,
So it has to be Fulani, it has to be Hausa, it has to be Kanuri, and Muslim. So if you're a Christian from the north, if you're not from this ethnic group from the north, you are inconsequential.
Brilliant, Majeed. We'll come back to this, but let's switch gears a little. River State politics. There's been a lot of crises, different crises, and once it seems like one has been managed and the fire is doused, it will rear its ugly head, again. So recently, another round of impeachment proceedings began. But then, mercifully, when the president returned, he called both gladiators to the villa and asked the FCT minister to sheath his sword asked Fubara, Governor Fubara, to, as it were, succumb and submit himself to the leadership of former Governor Nyesom, who is the FC minister. And the question, Majeed, is that from where exactly in the Nigerian constitution did the president have the authority to instruct? Because it wasn't an appeal, it was an instruction to Governor Fubara to submit, to accept that Governor Wike is the political leader of Rivers State. Where did the president get that authority from to make such pronouncements?
From Fubara.
How do you mean?
From Fubara's incompetence, from Fubara's docility, from Fubara's naivety, from Fubara's inability to put his house in order, from Fubara's lack of political acumen.
Sagacity.
Just Fubara donated his right
Wow.
to talk to the president.
Please explain.
It was Fubara the first one that actually ran to the president.
Yes.
In the first time to call them for a peace meeting. It was Fubara. Look, in fact, I'm sure the president must be very disappointed in Fubara.
Wow.
Because if you look at events after the lifting of the emergency rule in Rivers State and his statement, and how the APC leadership rallied around Fubara, one would have thought that Fubara would have learned his lessons after 6 months in exile. They rallied around him. They served him the ball, the net, the goalpost.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper that was supposed to be there, Wike, was already running around the midfield and momentarily lost focus. All that was required was for Fubara to just kick the ball into the net. And he turned around and shot the ball right back into the field, into Wike's hands. The secretary of the party, APC, issued a stern warning
National Secretary.
to Minister Wike to say, look, you are not resigned as minister. Since you have just with Rivers, or leave the governor alone. The question is, what did the governor do? How did he seize this opportunity to immediately concretize his hold on the APC structure, display the level of competence and political sagacity that could have divided the president's attention to say, okay, at this stage, I may not want to throw Wike under the bus, but you guys must coexist together on the same table. He didn't do that. He went to bed. Look, the day he was declared leader of the party, first by the national chairman, and then the secretary, and many other stakeholders, the kind of rally Fubara should have organized in Port Harcourt should have been the mother of all rallies, where his allies like Secondus, Limegba, and the other group would have decamped with him to the APC.
Sorry, Majeed. Let me ask this so that you take it together. The tradition, political culture in Nigeria, political party culture, the tradition is that a leader, an elected the governor of a state, of a particular party, is the political leader in that state. Nobody else.
Yes.
In Plateau State, the national party chairman of the APC is Professor Yewata.
Yes.
He has not claimed because he's the national party chairman, he's the leader of the political party in Plateau State.
Because Mustwang is a competent
Governor.
politician.
Now,
And I showed
sorry, Majeed. Fubara haven't decamped because the reason why Fubara decamped
Who did Fubara decamp with?
some of his people.
Who are they? Name them. Fubara was registered as 001 in the government house, and that was the end of it. The party propped you up. I said, you are the leader.
Yes.
I said he should have organized
The
a
mother of all rallies.
that would have shown the whole world that Rivers people are
That's
with
quick.
me.
Well,
He didn't. And Wike was what I started going around
wow.
to organize rallies across the local government of the state. Wike too was who shared the rice and other dispersed other patronages for politicians in the state. It was Wike. It was Wike that was still struggling for appointments for Rivers State indigenous at the federal level. While that conversation was going on, Wike secured the chairmanship of NMDPRA for Magnus Abbey. Who has Fubara secured even an AC appointment for? And we know what it takes to secure this appointment in Nigeria. you are holding the key to the treasury of 600 billion naira. If you knew you wanted to challenge Wike, play the game better than him. Let me tell you, the president waited for many weeks. The president had, when his own secretary of his party issued that bombshell to Wike, he heard it, he was aware.
Of course.
But why did he wait for this long for acting finally? He was waiting to see what Fubara will do.
Fubara seized the initiative.
What are you going to do about this matter?
The power has been given to you.
Fubara has proven once and only that the only competence he has is to provoke Wike.
Wow.
And with that kind of statements, maybe one time he calls he's barking like a dog and blah blah blah. The Wike will gather all the media houses in Nigeria and respond. That has been his only competence. How come he's not able to win over one single person from the opposing camp in the assembly? How? If Tinubu is able to win over people from PDP, from APC, from Labour Party to some party, including in Kano, if Tinubu is able to bring out Yusuf from Kwakwasia, how can the governor not bring out assembly members from under Wike, a sitting governor of Rivers State? Something is wrong with the leadership style of Fubara.
Majeed, in all of this you have said, what should have been his appropriate response to all of this?
Should have seized the initiative. He should have showed his competence and political sagacity at being able indeed to manage and hold the party structure in the state by bringing more people under the fold, to demonstrate the fact that Rivers people were with him. Because he had an advantage ahead of Wike. While Wike had the political structure and is a political heavyweight, but the people appear to be on the side of Fubara. And it's natural. People take out the underdog. He should have mobilized the people of Rivers into APC through a rally that will shake the entire country. And in that rally, the likes of Limegba, the likes of Secondus, the likes of Abese Kibo and all that, they would have declared that day that because of our son, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, in whom we are well pleased and whose leadership we now accept, we have all come to the APC to support Tinubu's re-election. And you begin to show, look, marching ground, show that indeed you can lead a party. You can be trusted to lead a party, to carry people along enough. Again, this matter was a choice. So if you didn't want to go through this route, it's either you should have resigned from this governorship or don't go into this battle with Wike.
Majeed.
But for failing to do this, I mean, how can you say you have decamped to the APC? You didn't decamp to one single, not even Edison in a year has decamped to the APC, she must have. Not even the former SSG has decamped. As we speak, within the Fubara camp, those that supported Fubara when he had the problem with Wike, there are divisions, there are dissatisfactions within the camp. There has not shown them enough gratitude and appreciation. As we speak, that problem is simmering. Whereas on the Wike side, he hasn't lost to one person. So if you are the president of the country, after watching this level of naivety on this side and the level of competence on this other side, who can you entrust your faith in that state to help you mobilize an important state like Rivers?
Perhaps a response to this would be that Governor Wike then, when he was looking for a successor,
Was deliberate
in choosing this person
because he knew
he had no capacity to stand up to him when the chips were down.
I've told you, I've long realized this. Wike was very right in picking Fubara. He knows Fubara. In and out. And he knows that he cannot do anything to him. He knows that Fubara is such a man that will be on the side of the river, on the bank of the river, and be washing his hand with spiritual. He knows. Rivers people should now develop the steel, the resolution to put an end to the orderly political dynasty in that state. It happened in Anambra. I keep repeating this point. In 2003, when the federalism ruled Anambra State, anybody did you couldn't pay salary for 3 years. Public services were crumbled. Anambra people decided to ditch the PDP at the level of gubernatorial elections.
And the Uba brothers, and the Uba...
Let's enough of this nonsense. And then they voted for a P2B on our platform. And since 2003, Anambra has remained with APGA. And you have seen...
The trajectory. Development.
Between then and today, Anambra governors have been able to provide basic services devoid of interference from anywhere. Now, Abia did it in 2023, when finally they put an end to all Jikalu political cartel and elected an Alasoti all party platform. I'm saying, see what has happened. If you know you do not like Wike and his antics, your choice is not Fubara. Can't be. Fubara is not that Messiah. He's not. Zero down on any other party of your choice. Support an Omolu be reverse man. And vote for such a person as a people, but must be ready to sacrifice your pocket. Don't collect money. You must be able to resist money bags and all that. Vote for such a person that will come and now serve reverse people. And the person does well, you sustain that system at least at the gubernatorial level. Reverse people are educated enough to be able to do this. If they cannot do this, they have themselves to blame. But until then, Fubara is no match at all for Governor Wike, for former Governor Wike. Absolutely not. So I won't blame the president if he decides and look for his party's interest. Fubara cannot lead his political movement in the state. He should only be tolerated until he finishes his first term. But Mr. Wike should continue. You can't blame the president. Because, you see, the hood does not make the monk. That you are a governor does not necessarily make you a leader. You have to demonstrate that leadership in an extraordinary manner, be the governor. Other governors have done it. Look at Kano. When Yusuf decided to leave the NMPP, he left with a number of people. Some didn't go with him, but a number of people left with him. Look at the cabinet. Look at the man in Bielsa. When he was leaving the PDP, he left. He had the godfather. But he left with a chunk of the cabinet and some members of the political establishment within the PDP in Bielsa State. Tell me the person that Fubara has brought into the APC since the day he was registered as a member of the APC in Government House River State as OO1. And in any case, the leader of the APC is President Tinubu. Yeah. So the day Fubara himself made the decision to go and join APC, he should be ready to submit his decisions as well to a higher one, which is the president of the country, as the national leader of the party. And the national leader has spoken, he has looked at both of them and realized that this one cannot pilot my affairs in this state, and allow this other man to continue.
Majeed, let me ask you quickly. In the remaining 1.5 years of Fubara's first term, how is he able to deliver on the oath of office he took to use Rivers resources to serve and deliver for the people? How is he able to do that? And secondly, you know, Fubara's wish or desire to get a second term, you know, it's hanging on a thread now.
Of course. And
now you have actually said the Rivers elite, the people of Rivers, should toe the line of Anambra first and then Abia second, you know, by charting their own course, finding a suitable son of Rivers State who has the capacity as a leader and as an administrator, astute administrator to deliver. So the first question, how does Fubara deliver before his term expires? Can he get second term? Who would you recommend Rivers people to, you know, pitch their tent with in 2027? Again, as an independent, you know.
The Rivers people should actually chart a new course.
Okay.
Enough of this mess. Yes. Aren't they embarrassed? Enough. They have become a headache of the country. They should put an end to this so that Rivers people money will be used for Rivers people. Rivers people are poor. They are hungry.
In the midst of huge...
In the midst of... And their resources being filtered away in Abuja by their errant sons. Put an end to this. Fubara is not a transformational leader. You know, my problem is, if you think Wike is a villain, Fubara isn't a hero. He's equally villainous. So for me, Fubara has been proven to be an incompetent villain. Because Wike is a very competent one. You know where he stands? I know he can do. Yeah. This other guy is incompetent even than being a villain. Otherwise, why would he go and join APC in the first place? Meaning he's not a transformational leader. He's not a visionary. So he has no capacity to take these people to the promised land. Let's just manage and tiptoe to the end of the stadium and give way. But the Rivers people must now begin to plan for the next election. They must not allow any member of the Odili dynasty to come to power again. They should not allow Wike to install a governor for them. They should elect their own governor. But it will take discipline. They must be able to resist patronage coming from this other side. The problem has been most of these elders, the reason why we can climb this rostrum and pour venom on them is that he has seen them finish in the local palace.
I won't compromise.
They have eaten from his pot of soup. So going to 2027 election, please don't go to Wike's kitchen and eat from his pot of soup so that you can elect your own governor. If indeed what you seek is not self-aggrandizement, but the good of Rivers. Rivers is sophisticated enough to be able to come together and defeat a Wike. But for you to defeat him, you must resist going to his kitchen to fetch from his soup pot. Because he's a very good cook.
Yeah.
And everywhere is chill with him. So
Majeed, this is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. You are very, very renowned for criticizing the north that you belong, the northern part of Nigeria, I mean. The north has been clamoring for retention of political power. They even want it, probably 2027. I mean, before I even go further, how does that sound to you, considering the delicate issue of north-south balancing in terms of political power distribution? Well, I think
it is insensitive and unreasonable. That's something that the North does not understand. Nigeria is a fragile compromise. Very fragile.
Sorry, take this together. Is the North willing to stick with Tinubu, or they want to chart a new course?
Okay, let me start with this.
Okay.
If the North, as Nigerians, if they are satisfied with Tinubu,
yes,
they should go for another Southern.
You are a good student of history, economics, and all of that. I mean, you are a leading public affairs analyst. The incumbent President Bola Tinubu, the administration, of course, they bandy all kinds of statistics, data from the MDS and all of that. It will show inflation has reduced, and all of that. But Nigerians would have a different opinion. My question is, has President Tinubu done enough, in your views, to deserve, re-election?
No.
Beyond politics?
No. Simply no. There's left us worse than the methods. What are the alternatives?
Yeah, that's the next question. So, what's the alternative?
It's not available now. I talked
How
about.
Do you mean?
You see, democracy rests on two legs. Democratic governance rests on two legs. What is government and what is the opposition?
Yeah.
We are Nigerians. We don't need to even talk about whether Tinubu has succeeded or not. On all indices of development, the Tinubu government has not performed.
Insecurity.
And the funny thing, or rather the good thing, the president will tell you that his reforms is here to eat food, that it is still in the incubation stage. So even they know that they have not done well. But the only thing is that you don't promise to say no. What we are doing now is going to give you pain that will result into gain later. But until that later, for now, he does not deserve re-election. However, the opposition has not been able to bring up an alternative to Tinubu's economic policies, to the practices of the APC as a party. No alternative in the horizon. That's why I said Nigeria is not only suffering from failure of government. Nigeria is suffering from failure of opposition. That is even more imperative, and that is what we should focus on going forward. The opposition has no alternative to what Tinubu has done.
Let me put it. How will the opposition, because this is what people are saying, how will the opposition have a united voice, maybe individual political parties, when the institutions of state have been, mobilized by the ruling APC to destabilize the opposition parties?
Okay, I don't agree with this line of thinking.
Why not?
Because I am close enough to the political system to know that the problems in the APC, in the PDP, the Labour Party, and other are self-inflicted.
How?
Failure of leadership of opposition. How did the PDP run into trouble? Before the primary election of PDP in 2022, I had written a publicly publicized article where we warned the PDP that if we are to give another Nile ticket, go to 2023 election, that the people will lose the election and sink into oblivion. Tinubu was the president then. That happened. Labour Party would have been the next opposition party in Nigeria, next front of opposition, because it was propelled to power by people power, from oblivion to the third party in the parliament and the third performing party in the presidential election, when PDP won equal number of states with other contestants. But what happened? I began to get feelers during the inauguration of the National Assembly about certain conduct of Labour Party members, which I felt you shouldn't be. Yes. If you have been the product of free votes, of people power, you shouldn't go to the parliament and begin to indulge in the kind of things that the APC and Labour Party will do. No, I called the attention of some Labour Party leaders to say, look at your members in the National Assembly, something is going wrong there. Nobody responded. I had to write about it. I had to comment about it. So, something is happening in the National Assembly that is akin to betraying the effort of Nigerians. That was the major failure we experienced in opposition. Before that was happening, started the campaign to the APC. And today, you can't point to any Labour Party MP, a party that people mobilize behind to defeat the president in his home state, in his federal constituency as well. You cannot hear, there's no voice of the Labour Party platform that you can say this is the pro-people's voice on the floor of the National Assembly. You can't hear of any. In all of this.
Would you say then that this failure of this opposition party is attributable to a total lack of ideology in opposition?
Exactly. And political sagacity. You see, if you can't lead an opposition, you can't lead the country.
Absolutely.
No, you can't. Because leading a political party is a precaution of how you're going to lead the larger society. So we've not had enough conversation about that. Let's just focus on government has failed. For instance, it's been 2.5 years that the Tinubu government removed subsidy on petrol, voted in Naira, among many other policies. Do you know that none of the leading opposition figures have come up with a concrete alternative to what this man has done? None. None. The other day, ADC was adopted as a coalition party by some of our friends, you know. And I met some of them and I said, come. Please, within the next few weeks, as you're unveiling ADC as a party, unveil alongside your own thinking around some of these critical issues. The Nigerians are no longer interested in Tinubu is bad, APC is bad, and then people come back. No, that's not going to happen. It happened in 2015, it happened in 2023. People are wiser, people are now looking for what exactly do you want to do different? The ADC has wasted its time between when it was unveiled. It was only last week. After the media, I've watched the spokesperson Bola on different media platforms being asked, after you've criticized the president, what do you want to do in the alternative? And he will always say, we are setting up a committee to look at our manifesto. It was only last week that they set up an elaborate committee to set up manifesto. How can a political party launch ahead of his own manifesto? It's like a human being that was born without a brain. It's like a car without a brain box. How can you have launched? You started criticizing Tinubu without having a manifesto as an alternative to what they're going to do in place of what Tinubu is doing. Is that not failing for opposition?
Well, I know their counter arguments will be that, you know, you want to sleep, but somebody's trying to put fire everywhere, so you can't sleep, and then in the morning somebody's asking you, why are your eyes red?
But you know my views on a number of issues.
Absolutely. Majeed, we need to run, but then it will be remiss of me if I don't take your views on this, you know, 2 or 3 short, just give me short responses. Be honest, my brother. In 2027, are we going to have a genuine election, or we're just going to have, just a coronation, as it were?
A coronation. Tinubu will go into that election as the most unpopular sitting presidential candidate in the history of anywhere in the world, but might likely emerge victorious with a very wide margin of victory because of the failure of opposition.
What role would money play? Because there's this school of thought that, in fact, I was reading some brilliant article, you know, in the last couple of days where, you know, someone was alleging, and I emphasize alleging, that part of the APC core ideology is to pauperize Nigerians so as to make money politics, you know, when the time comes for election, they just give people handouts and they write results.
Can I shock you?
Yes.
The APC federal government will not have enough money to fund its own election. But the federal government is broke from its own policies. We are about to dash Nigeria to Tinubu on a platter because of the failure of opposition. What I'm saying now is to someone to wake up call to the opposition to know that we are failing. You know what I'm saying is, no Nigerian will go to the polling units and waste his or her time to vote for any party without a clear-cut
ideology.
It will happen this time around. So there will be apathy. And what is apathy? The ruling party will have a field day.
Next question, Majeed. Are we secure today than before.
No,
of course, I know. Yeah. Now, because 2 days ago, just yesterday or 2 days ago, look at the scores that were slaughtered, in Kwara State. Should any commander-in-chief be re-elected, even if it's just on this alone, should any commander-in-chief be re-elected?
That's what I said. Alternative. If I don't say an alternative,
Yes.
I won't vote for the commander-in-chief. But I won't vote for the alternative. So those that are benefiting, that think that is doing well, as they're concerned, will have a field day. What I'm saying is simple. If on the morning of election on the election day in 2027, I do not see anybody that is promising me something different from what Tinubu has done. I will sit in my house and Tinubu's friends will go and vote for him. This is a wake-up call to the people to say, give me an alternative now.
Brilliant.
That will make me be able to come out and vote against Tinubu.
Brilliant. Last question. Let's do a scenario.
Yes.
Peter Obi emerges, one way or the other, on any platform, maybe not ADC, maybe Labour, whatever platform he emerges as the candidate. Would you advise Nigerians to vote for Peter Obi? And what chances does he, stand against a moving train, in Tinubu and the APC?
Okay, let me put it this way.
And even if not Peter, maybe Adebayo Adewale of the SDP or Omoyele Sowore of the...
I won't tell Nigerians to vote for.
Yes, okay.
I'm not talking about campaign spokesperson. What I can say is this. If the ADC has presently coalesced, decide to throw the part of common sense and logical reason, okay, let the Senate have his full time.
Yeah.
And then the Obi has said, I will do 1 term. Okay, come and take the tickets. Let's work support him to win the primary election. And then the northern elements within the ADC go back to their region and work for his emergence. Not that you don't give somebody a ticket and go and say, no, you go back there and actively campaign for him. Based on his personality trait and for the qualities that have set him aside in it as better. If they add that with an alternative ideological leaning, an alternative solution to Tinubu's to Tinubunomics and all of that, if they add that to the personality of Peter Obi, it can portray a strong challenge to Tinubu, even if they have 36 state governors. But anything short of this kind of arrangement I've just pointed, where you have a candidate from the north of the country, the south, who is popular, who people can stake their time and their resources for, it's very important, like a Buhari, and who also comes with an idea that says, look, where Tinubu has done A, I will do B. Where Tinubu did Z, I will do Y. Where Tinubu did W, I will do U. That we would have been on the path now to recovering Nigeria from a government that has not performed and that has actually stagnated our growth. But otherwise, it cannot be repeated. Tinubu go to the next election as very unpopular. Very unpopular. But to emerge victorious with a very wide margin of vote because of the failure of opposition.
That would be a great irony. But last now, what is the electoral path to victory for any other opposition candidate? What is the electoral path to victory of any of the...
In today's Nigeria, you must be ideologically sophisticated. We are a 26-year-old democracy. We've had all sorts of... You see, we are like a serially jilted lover. We become frigid, though. It will take much more than just words of mouth to arouse our interest now. So you have to go much more beyond that to prove to us around that if we accept you, you won't jilt us.
Are Nigerians as sophisticated as you think? Are you not giving considering too much to Nigerians in terms of...
Look at what happened in 2023. A group of young men came out, funded themselves, and prepared to be almost victory in the last election. Oh, in fact, some people believe you won the election. But okay, the fact that you won 12 states, 11 plus 1, along with other heavyweight politicians, is a testament to how far our democracy have come of age. Nigerians are watching and listening. And for those of us that are in the media, we can gauge the pulse of the people and their line of thinking. What I'm saying is, people will no longer be impressed if you don't come up with a concrete solution, line by line, with what these people are doing. You can't tell me you remove subsidy, and remove subsidy and you are not turning around to complain, without telling me that I have realized that it was the wrong policy, I'll go back on it. You can't tell me you're going to float the naira. Tinubu has floated the naira. And I said, okay, I've realized that this was the wrong policy, I would have gone back on it, and going forward, I will do the alternative of so and so. It has to be well stated. Because people have elected a good man in Buhari. It was disaster for 8 years. People are saying, are you sure Trump being a good man?
It's enough.
It's enough. Now we've come of age. If we didn't have the 2015 experience and 2015 experience in the House of Labour Party MPs, I understand what I'm saying now. But we now want something, we want to see a political party that is well structured, that will prevent what happened to the Labour Party from happening. A party that is truly made up of patriots, that will serve as the brain boss of our democracy, with that level of integrity. Look, nobody wants to go for a presidential candidate that bought votes at delegate level to a bad as candidate, because we know that it's going to pay back that investment. We want to see a complete, and it's not too late, a complete paradigm, a shift from this status quo to a process that can produce a very, very ripe fruit that is not rotten. Nigerians will, on their own, vest their legitimacy on such a platform. But anything short of this, we are playing to the hands of the state because people are fatigued already. Are you sure they're not same of the same? Okay, look at the ADC composition. Move to me from ADC. Which of the leaders of the ADC can inspire any Nigerian to leave his house and trek for kilometers to mount vigilance at a polling unit just to protect his vote? Tell me which of them they can inspire.
So Atiku cannot, Peter Obi cannot?
I said, apart from Peter Obi,
okay,
who somehow has maintained a posture of I'm different from the others.
Yes.
Single him out. Look at the other members.
Not ADC, Omo Ile or Adebayo Adewale.
Adebayo is a very brilliant, one of the most brilliant politicians I've ever seen in Nigeria. But you know, sometimes it's not about your individual. You must put it to practice. I wish Adewale can found a political party and then run the party and its internal processes along his own ideals for starters. Then we can now say, okay, ignore the messenger, look at his message, look at his methodology, and follow. But as it stands, he's not been able to found the party and lead one another. He's just an individual speaking. But otherwise, he's a very brilliant Nigerian. Showore is a very patriotic Nigerian. We see activism alone is not enough to mobilize the entire country. Nigerians are actually conservative in nature. So excessive activism put off Nigeria.
So Nigeria is not ready for a disruptor.
It's kind of, they are not ready for such kind of disruption. But if you can work your way through the system, a bridge between solid disruption and an evolutionary growth, Nigerians are in for it. But I'm saying today again, ideological sophistication, clarity is relevant now to kickstart Nigerians into that path of securing votes for an alternative platform. Otherwise, people would simply tell you, what do I do all of this? And it turned out to be what happened in 2023. Where do we go from there?